Superbrothers Sword and Sworcery EP was originally released on March 2011. It is an independent software usually considered an adventure game, and it will most likely remind most of you about The Legend of Zelda from Nintendo. We will be playing the role of the Shixian, a heroine looking for a magic, antique, whatever, unique book called the Megatome. As it usually happens, things will go wrong, and we will end up waking up an ancient and evil creature. Even if the story might not sound the most interesting thing you've ever heard in your life, the gameplay of this game really makes up for it. Superbrothers does its best trying to make the player remember about the good old times, both for the graphic style but also for the plot. The oldest player will definitely remember the 8-bit era when plots didn't need to be that complicated in order to give you a reason to proceed throughout the adventure. This game does something similar, avoiding useless speeches, and it will definitely not lead you on a one-way road throughout the whole game. This means that sometimes you will be wondering what you're supposed to do. You might end up being clueless, and this can bring up some frustration, especially for the youngest players. Hardcore players will most likely appreciate this approach because it is challenging and it forces you to use your brain to look around an environment and try to figure out what you're supposed to do. It's very different from the kind of games we're used to play nowadays, but it still has a charm. For the most part, our job will be dealing with riddles and solving puzzles, which will let us proceed in the adventure. These riddles are not going to be terribly complicated, and we will always be able to find a solution just by looking around carefully at the environment or paying the right attention on what's around us. The musical element plays an extremely important role in the economy of puzzles and riddles, and most of the times we will have to deal with it in order to proceed. The combat system is just clever, in one word perfect for touchscreen commands, able to succeed where the majority of touch games usually fail. Games for touch devices usually try to emulate some weird kind of gamepad within the screen. Superbrothers is definitely more clever than that, and it just uses what it has, which is a touchscreen. So we will have to deal with a hybrid battle system based on our reflexes and our speed. The key on winning some of the fights will be learning enemies' attacks and try to prevent them, anticipating what they're going to do. This system works, and it works well, and this is probably why we would have liked to have more variety within the bestiary. Anyways, considering that most of the gameplay is based on solving puzzles and riddles, the battle system and the battles themselves are more like a plus, which is perfectly fine. Speaking of graphics, this game seems to be a tribute to the times when sprites were leading the market and 2D was king. So let's forget about 3D and shaders and let this amazing artistic direction fall in love with it. So faithful to a past that doesn't exist anymore, but at the same time so good in keeping up with times, with extremely smooth animations and a background that seems pulsating with life. Whether it is chirping birds, wild rabbits, or the waters of a waterfall, everything will work on creating a very immersive and very touchable environment. Supporting the beautiful graphics, we have a really great audio department. The soundtrack just sounds perfect for the atmospheres of the production, and it seems to be playing with our memories, reminding us of old Sierra classics. In conclusion, the Superbrothers is a product that every old-time player should really be playing. It is brave, it is fresh, just like few games can be, and by playing it, you can feel the passion that was behind it. Definitely a must-have for whoever appreciates deep adventures, or for nostalgic players who just want to get back a couple of decades with their memories.